With the international break putting everyone to sleep, we are not messing about. We are already looking forward to the return of the Premier League, and it is the first real derby of the season coming up this Sunday, the Manchester Derby. And with a rough-ish start for both teams of the season, today we're going to go through all the talking points of this big fixture, see how fans are feeling at both clubs, and basically predict who is going to win this massive derby. Before we kick things off, Jamie, obviously we'll have to come to you first. Now, as bad as Man United have been, if you look at the table, they are somehow still above you. So I guess a good place to start would be going into this game as a City fan. How are you feeling about the game?
Well, yes, you are technically right, but remember, it is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and I'm certain I think it's the 13, 14 years we finished above them will continue. So don't worry about that. But let's get back into how we're feeling in terms of how City are playing. Is started off brilliantly, the Wolves game. We looked terrific. Everyone was singing our praises, going, actually, we shouldn't have talked them out of being in the title race, as a lot of people predicted. Then it went downhill. Now we played Spurs, and we just don't play against Spurs. We're a different team. We are, we turn into Grimsby, you know. It's that sort of team when we play Spurs. Spurs can beat them. But then the Brighton game was a weird one for me. The Brighton game one reminded me of the United home fixture last season, where we're 1-0 up and we seem in total control. It seems like it's just, if the game blew then, no one would really expect anything different. Then a stupid mistake, giving them a penalty, having your hand up here. Stupid to give the penalty away, and the game completely flips. And then we lose. So there's still the sort of problems that we've had from last season. So that's where I think the negative has come out again through people going, we should have signed this, we should have signed that, we should have done this. Overall, I'm still in the sort of mindset of I still think we are going to challenge for the title. Doesn't mean we're going to win it, but I still think we're going to be up there at least. But I think people have just got to sort of, realise we're not going to win every game. We're not the City of old getting 100 points, 98 points, winning, 18 out of 19 in the last run in to actually win the league. It's not going to happen. And if we need to do that, we certainly won't win the league because defensively we're not good enough. However, I think we're going to come together a bit better now the international break's done. Because there's one thing we did request for City and Chelsea was a delay to the start of the season because I think we thought we're going to come up with this. We're not going to be fully ready at the start of the season. So this is where I'm expecting City to kick on. Now, if they don't and perform badly like they have against Spurs, like they did in the rest of the Brighton game, that's when I'm going to be concerned. So at the moment in time, I'm calm about City, but the Derby day is an unpredictable sort of fixture. When we were the complete underdogs, I've seen us perform really well and batter United. And did also see us get battered as well because we weren't great then. But now it's sort of, we're expected to win because we're at home. And that's what I'm expecting and sort of almost demanding from City. Show a reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys need it to be honest. And the Club World Cup point, is absolutely valid. I saw it from our first game against Palace. We were just slow and we looked like a team who had no pre-season. But the problem is because it's international break, it's not really the squad being together. So I don't necessarily think that's even going to help the likes of Chelsea, City, who competed in that because the players are still not there. So I think if this bad run feels a bit dramatic because it's only been two games, but I think if this continues, then you can start looking at the Club World Cup going, right, was this an issue? But I think the real concern is that although you said you still think you'll compete for the title, when I'm looking at Chelsea, I'm going, right, well, if we're in the title race, we're 2 points behind Liverpool, which feels a lot. And I'm looking at you going, you're 3 games in, you're 6 points off Liverpool, which, you know, being pessimistic, that is a huge gap already in such a short space of time. So I weirdly, I think this game is more important than maybe a lot of City fans realise. Because if you don't win this game, and again, we'll just assume Liverpool are going to win, even though that's probably an unfair statement. You're almost out of the title race before the season's even started. So I think this game, because of the way you guys have started, has become absolutely monumental, which sounds ridiculous as a fourth game in a season. But if you want to be in a title race, you can't have a 9 point gap or it can't get out of hand. Is what I'm trying to say.
I do agree with you can't let it get out of hand kind of way. I do agree with that kind of point. Um, but I've seen City come back from worse deficit points and with less games to go. So that's why I'm not concerned. Liverpool will drop points. Arsenal will drop more points. Chelsea will drop more points. It's the way, like I said at the start, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And at this moment in time, look, City having 3 points out of nine isn't good enough. You could, if we beat Brighton and we had 6 out of 9, we'd have probably gone, yeah, okay, Spurs is Spurs for us. Kind of accept it. But with the Brighton loss, it is big. It is. We do need to, like I said, we need to bounce back. And I'm sort of saying, like I said, I'm demanding that we do bounce back. That's when you've got to show that we are sort of, fighting for this in terms of it. So I do agree with your point, but I think it would be too early to go. You're out the title race, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Reece, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I think this is probably the first time in a long time where both teams in Manchester have got a bit of a negative feeling around them. Man City have made their worst start to a Prem season at this stage since 2004, 2005, which is, of course, just over 20 years ago now, and that was a different Man City to the one we see today. United have made a slight improvement to their start, well, last season, where they were on 3 points after 3 games. So maybe there's a little bit more optimism on the red side at this moment in time. But it's been a weird feeling. I think there was confidence from both clubs or both sets of fans. Probably more on the City side. I think we expected a bigger rebound, a bigger, charge for the title. Again, it's how you finish, not how you start. So we're not going to look too much into 3 games. Whereas United, there was a bit more cautious optimism. City got off to a blistering start. United might have lost to Arsenal, but they put in a decent performance. I think an overrated performance from what pundits, etc., were saying. But it was still a positive performance. We thought, okay, both teams going to crack on from here. Since then, it couldn't have gone, well, really much worse. Um, City lose, let's be honest, should be on nine points from nine. They shouldn't be on 3 points from nine. And United should be doing better than, slugging it against Fulham away from home. No disrespect to Fulham, of course, and then of struggling against Burnley as well. And we obviously can mention the iconic Grimsby cup exit. It is a strange one for both sides because this has to be the game where they have to lay the marker down and lift themselves off. So there's pressure on both sides already, quite big pressure that both these teams are feeling in a different way to what we used to. But yeah, it's been an interesting start, an unexpected start from both sides, particularly from my pre-season predictions. And I don't think it matters if City were to fall 6, 7 points behind at this stage because we know they're capable of clawing back. But it's a concern because we could argue they've strengthened their side, and it's a concern to have lost two very silly games, in my opinion. After that first game performance, whereas United, it's more of the same from them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, United fans as well, if you're watching this, please do hit us up in the comments and let us know how you're feeling at the minute because the narrative that I get from United fans, I know, is still overwhelmingly negative. And a late Burnley comeback with a pen that's a bit questionable for me doesn't suddenly turn your season around, right? Like, you have lost to Grimsby, you're not in Europe. So for me, I still get the sense that it is overwhelmingly negative. But by all means, please do hit us up in the comments to let us know how you're feeling at the moment. Now, in terms of the derby on Sunday, let's look at some of the key battles in terms of the players. I think one of the biggest talking points in the summer, or at least the last few weeks for both sides, has been in goal. Edison has been knocking on the door of leaving City for a few years. He's basically out the door. Donnarumma has come in. Trafford. will be a bit concerned to say the least. So let's start with City and Donnarumma. Do we think he's going to start on Sunday?
Um, the funny thing is, honestly, I couldn't tell you. Pep roulette. I just honestly don't know. But if it's sort of like I've seen it before when a player's just been thrown in the deep end in a Manchester derby, like the what, and it normally doesn't work out. And to be honest, the one I remember fondly through sort of like he had an awful performance was Patrice Evra. Doesn't mean he had a great career at United, but his first game was against City, and it was Trevor Sinclair who tore him apart. Like these games, sort of like it could be one of them where you just go, you know what, stay behind the scenes for one more game. Trafford sort of knows what the Manchester derby's about, being at City for so many years before he went to Burnley. He's been in goal for the first few games. Maybe you just go, Trafford, here's your chance. This is a big game. Prove yourself. But if I had to put my money on it, I would say Donnarumma's going to start. But like I said, I think any City fan that says he's going to start or he's going to start, unless you're Pep Guardiola, you don't know. I reckon the players won't know at this point in time. Trafford and Donnarumma don't know who's exactly going to start. But if you've been looking at the press, you'd start Trafford over Donnarumma because since he's come to City, the press has been so negative on him. It's actually quite funny. I've heard that he's terrible with his feet, and also now he's a bad shot stopper. So from the guy who's probably known as the best goalie last season, he's now one of the worst. And in that time, I've only seen that he's joined Man City. So it is quite funny. I don't mind who starts, but yeah, like I said, I think it will be Donnarumma.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think Trafford's done. Not done. That's probably a bit harsh, but like you can't be signing a world class goalkeeper who's won the lot or won most things and not play him in a big game. And it's not like he needs to get up to match fitness. Obviously, he was at PSG, like he's a goalkeeper. So I personally think Donnarumma will start, and it will be interesting. Everyone will be watching him, of course. There'll be that pressure, particularly in the derby. Um, so yeah, if I'm United, I'm putting a high press on him when he's got the ball. Let's flip over to the other side of Manchester. Reece, you're obviously vocal about the new keeper they've signed. It looks like Onana is out the door to wild celebrations in Manchester at last. Do we think the new boy is going to start? I guess for United.
Yeah, I think that's a really difficult one. Again, I think we talk about Pep roulette, but we've definitely got Amarim or Ruben roulette. Might sound a bit more flashy. It's a strange one because now Onana has gone, and after Bayindir's performance against Arsenal, you have to start Lammens. Um, because Bayindir's not really played that much either, so he's taking a risk whoever he wants to start. But Lammens looked exactly the goalkeeper that they were looking to get. You know, they've got a goalkeeper who he chopped, he ch led the charts in the top 10 leagues in Europe for shot stopping, which is really impressive. So, Anana was a pretty decent shot stopper, but he wasn't a very good catcher of the ball. But luckily, Lemon seems to be able to do that as well. If City are going to go for crossing, they're probably going to be out of luck. So they might as well go all out and put Lemons in to make a point. Surely, for a new player, he's gonna want to play in this game and show what he's made of. And if India's confidence is completely shot, he's taking a bit of a risk. So I expect Lemons to start. But again, this is the spotlight where they're on both keepers, which we don't really say much. And they're on both keepers for very, very different reasons.
Yeah, same. Same point as Donnarumma. I just cannot see a way he doesn't start. It's like the current keeper they've got. It's like playing Russian roulette. Like there's no good outcome, right? It is. He has to go straight in the team for me. But as you said, it's that pressure again. Every touch, every shot, every catch is going to be being looked over. With a magnifying glass. So, yeah, I think weirdly for the first time in a long time, this derby could be all about the goalkeepers, which is, as you said, it's not something you ever really say in a big game.
I
Um,
I think the pre-match talk will be about the keepers, just because both of them are brand new. I agree. I think Lammens has to start because there's been no confidence in the other keeper. I'm just not going to bother trying to pronounce his name. I will get it wrong. And obviously Onana's. I think he's gone now. If he's not, he's about to be. Um, he has to start, but it could be a very tough learning curve for him because if City went and scored sort of 3 or 4 this game, you wouldn't be that surprised. And that's not what you need for your new keeper to come in and try and build some confidence. But you can't just throw away a game and go, don't worry about it. You want to win. It's the Manchester Derby. You have to want to win this. It's the same as sort of like I know some United fans will go Liverpool's more important and some will say City, but both of them games you can't just throw it away. You have to give it all, and being United goalkeeper is massive pressure. No matter who you are, no matter how bad it's been before you, the pressure's massively on you. So I think he has to start. Otherwise, you sort of go, why bring him in? I know it can be more long term why you brought him in, but I think you just have to go straight away because there's no confidence in it before. It's not like City with Trafford, where I'm still fairly confident in him. I know he's not an Edison in terms of ball kicking, but I still think he's pretty good in shot stopping. So that's where I think City have got a luxury of they can play Trafford, whereas I don't think United have that luxury, and I think they have to go with the new guy.
yeah, I think look, he can concede 3 or 4. I just don't make a mistake. I think that's the only thing. Like if they're nice goals, standing goals, I don't think he'll be blamed. But obviously, yeah, it's not going to help his confidence. Before we move on to our actual predictions for the game, who would we say needs to win the match more? I feel like I've probably already answered it at the start, so I'm going to go Man City because for me, if they're out, if they don't win this game, I would argue that the title race picture is already looking extremely unlikely, which is, as I said, mental to say after 4 games. But imagine a world where United do what they did last season and City are on 3 points after 4 games and Liverpool on 12. It's ugly. So for me, I think it's a massive, massive game for Man City.
I would agree. I would say it has to be more for Man City. I think if United were playing Liverpool at the weekend, there'd be a different sentiment. I do agree with that. I do think there'd be a different one. I think from the impression I get from United fans, this is a bit of a free hit for them, a bit of a look, just don't get battered is probably the remit. I've heard it on sort of other, United fan channels like the Stretford Pallet. They seem to be a little bit more relaxed. Um, but the issue is, of course, they then play Chelsea next. So they can't really afford to lose, knowing they've got another tough game after that. So it is a tough one for that. But I think they're going to be happy to just see how, particularly the new goalkeeper gets on, see how they build on the game against Burnley. So I think there's more pressure on City for this one, and rightly so. They're the home side, and and like I said, it's not Liverpool or whatever. It's City probably need this because they're already 2 losses down, 2 losses too many at this stage. So they need to put the marker down and get the ball rolling, and they're more than capable of doing that because they didn't beat United last year. So this sort of things show that it should go in their favour this time.
I do agree with both of you. It is more on City. The pressure's more on City. City are at home as well, and City have got sort of expectations of being up there. United, after their terrible season last year, have got to have a bit more of a realistic value going. We're not going to go from, what's it, 16th to title challenging. So for them to finish in the European places, let's say they get fifth Europa, it's quite a good improvement. However, because Amarin's had such a terrible record so far in the Premier League, I think he's on just less than a point a game. He might have changed after the Burnley game, but he might be around that. He's still got massive pressure on him. He can't be sort of going, my job's safe for the next 3 months because his record has been terrible. no European football and knocked out of the League Cup already. So really, realistically, they've only got the FA Cup left to win, and we're 3 games into the season. So I think he is still massively under pressure as well. So I don't think you. And I do, like I said, I do agree. City have got more pressure on this game, but I still think there's a lot of pressure on United, just because the time that Amran's been here, his record's terrible. So he needs to improve with it. But overall, City being the home team, the 2 losses before, we've got to kick on, and the pressure definitely will be more on us.
I think that's a really good point on United. 3 games in, and you're only competing for the FA Cup. That is a pretty miserable picture. And United fans, as we said earlier, if there is any positive ones out there, do hit us up in the comments. Let's get on to our score predictions for the game. I'll kick things off again. Despite everything I've said, I just cannot see City not winning this game. It would really, really be a shock. I think there'll be goals, so I'll go 3-1 City. United might nick a goal in the counter or something, but I think City are going to bounce back here.
Um,
Um, Go on. No, go on, Jamie.
yeah. So this one is sort of I have a weird one of I think my overall score prediction will be we'll win 2-0. However, the time that I see United scoring the most likely is in the first 15 minutes. So it's sort of like if we get past them 15 minutes, I think we'll win 2-0. But there's sort of like I don't want this to be right, obviously. I just see their biggest chance of scoring is in the first 15 minutes. They go a bit gun ho in the first 15, then sit back as well. And one thing I just want to say is quickly is Amarin's system is a 3-5-2 with 3-5-2 roughly, like 3-4-3, isn't it really? We've struggled against them in the past. So this is why I don't think it's gonna be we're not gonna I don't think we're gonna absolutely batter United. Because we've struggled against this formation consistently under Pep's reign. Even getting the sort of 100 points, we've been knocked out by teams that are like in the Champions League that play a 3-5-2, 3-4-3 sort of style. So that's where I'm a bit. I don't think we're going to batter them, but I'm going with a 2-0. Donnarumma can have his nice first clean sheet.
Reese.
Um, the concern for this game is it going to be both teams are too afraid to lose? And I think that could end up with a similar sort of game as what we got last season, that absolute snooze fest. But maybe a draw for both sides is probably the best here if they're going to play it safe. But I don't expect that. I think City, after not picking up any points against United, well, they picked up 1 point against United last season. I think they'll want revenge for that poor home defeat last season. And like I said, I think United will go in there and say, look, let's just not get battered, which isn't the attitude the biggest club in the country should have. Um, but I think they'd be happy just to see a performance or something at least and take that to Chelsea with them. I'll go with I'm going to go 1-0 City.
All right, there you have it. We've given our score predictions. Everyone going for a Man City home win. If you disagree, as always, send your score predictions in the comments below. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.